Yo, what's up, guys? How they went today, man? We're reviewing Severance. Finally, I know one of the shows that have been one of the most hyped up shows. I have not gone to watch it. Finally went out, bought Apple TV, turned on Severance, season 1, and it was peak. Now I'm on season 2 right now while I'm recording this video. I'm on episode literally 10, the season finale. But it's literally like an hour 25. It's gonna take me like 3 days. Sorry. I usually end up falling asleep late at night watching this. So I'll get to that very, very soon. But I definitely wanted to get this out. It feels like every day going by, I'm forgetting what happened in season 1 because I'm watching season 2. And it's like, I gotta be laser focused on this. So let's talk about season 1 of Severance. Season 1 of Severance was a 9 out of 10. You know, the opening scene with Haley randomly just waking up at Loon. I'm like, what is this? I mean, you gotta remember though, I'm a harsh critic for this individual review, because it's like, bro, the amount of times y'all talked about Severance, bro, this better be the greatest thing since sliced bread. And I'm not gonna lie, a couple episodes in, I'm like, I mean, it's cool, but then it gets to that episode and I'm like, I get it. I see the vision. So I give it overall a 9 out of 10. I'll be honest, early on, I really like this a lot more than season 2. Now, season 2 still has the season finale to get in their bag, but what we ended off in season 1, yeah, that was beautiful. But yeah, the opening scene where Haley just randomly waking up from Lumen, I guess that was her severance. Even though we find out that Haley is not really who she thinks or really is at this point. First time I saw the first time I saw Mark, I instantly got Greg vibes from Succession. If you know, you know. Shout out to Succession, also one of my top 10 favorite shows of all time. And we learned Petey, who Petey also underwent severance as well. But Petey trying to finesse the system. He's a very interesting guy to say the least. And then we learn about Mrs. Cobell, you know, Milchick. But didn't Cobell throw was like a phone at Mark, and then they wrote a note saying it was something that it wasn't to his Audi, because his Indy is the one that's in the workplace. It's a whole different character, it's a whole different person. His Audi is him outside of work, outside of Lumen. It's a whole different person. He has no idea what's going on in his work life, and his doesn't know what's going on in his outside life. It's very, very interesting. Mrs. Cobell, aka Selvig, that lives across the street from me, even though he doesn't know that she works at Lumen as well, even though Lumen literally, this is a Lumen-fested neighborhood, but yeah, Mark just doesn't know that his neighbor just coincidentally just works alongside him. Like, okay, man. And we learned that Severance, funny enough, the show title, is surgery to completely split up your work and also your real life, which is just absolutely absurd. Not gonna lie, I did not hear a single thing. Like, I've seen clips and things people have showed me trying to get me to watch the show, but I have like no recollection of it all. I have like no memory whatsoever, so thankfully I got into that basically with a clean sheet. Yeah, let's get into it. So, like I mentioned, season 1 of Severance, they were making up fake stories about how someone got injured, like how Mark got injured at work, because their brain is altered to the point that they don't know what's going on. Like, they literally left like a note on his car saying, "Oh, it's this," and they gave him like a coupon to some place. Then he goes to that place, and then that's where he sees Petey. Petey was one of his best friends, Mark's best friend, and he ended up reintegrating, which means that he ended up taking out the chip in his head for the severance surgery, and all these complications. He's working with somebody, and finding out as well, Mark ends up working with her as well. Low-key spoiler. I'm sorry if you haven't watched it, you know, I'm trying to toe the line, but it is what it is at the end of the day. And then we end up learning about Devin, which is Mark's sister, Rickon, who is her partner, and Rickon gotta be off something. Rickon is off that good. Rickon is always on 1,000. He's always high energy every single time. Like I said about Petey, man, that man trying to finesse the system to reintegrate, you know. Sally, Petey, it was It was a pack, brother. It was a pack. There's also something about Mrs. Selby that we don't know about. You know, she just sounds so innocent. She's Mark's neighbor. She's this, that, and the third. Like, no. I remember the first time I saw her, I'm like, there's something about Mrs. Selvig, aka Harmony Cobell, that we just do not know about. You feel what I'm saying? Milchick. Milchick's an interesting guy, you know. Milchick, you're a very interesting guy. Again, season 1. Season 2, we learned a little bit more about Milchick, but something about Milchick we don't know about for sure. And Grainer, oh my god, the security guard Grainer. I keep trying to spoil, but I'ma hold it in. I'ma hold it in. Grainer, that guy's a Hall of Fame menace to society. He works security for the severed floor. He's maniacal. He's a maniac. There's something genuinely up with Grainer's brain. And let's talk about my beloved Miss Casey. Miss Casey. She moved the needle. The first time I saw her, I was like, who is those? Miss Casey. Basically the therapist for the severed floor. She also is severed as well. We're going to learn something insane about her in the end, which I'll talk about very, very soon. We end up getting introduced to Dylan G, who's also part of Mark's crew on the severed floor. We learn about Helly, aka Helly R, aka I'll get into that. Irving as well. Yeah, that's the people they work at Lumen. They move around numbers and combinations like that. They don't know what they do, but they ended up doing it. So their brains are genuinely altered and fried. So you can basically tell them anything at this point. They're computerized, man. They just are. But even we end up learning about Irving. I'm not gonna lie, Irving. First time I saw him, I got big tryhard vibes from him. I'm not gonna lie. And then them calling their outside character an Audi and their inside character an innie was genuinely frying me. When you're inside the workplace, you're an innie. When you're outside, you're an Audi. Like, that terminology is just frying me. And then Selvig just walking into Mark's house unprovoked, because she was just snooping around. I don't know. I don't remember if she saw, because I forgot at the end of this. Well, Petey ends up basically like recollecting with Mark, talking about reintegration, and then Mark feels bad and bloody nose, and they end up having a moment there at the coupon place that they got Mark to, and they're having a little bit of a conversation. Ends up going longer and longer, and Petey ends up staying at Mark's house. And I don't know, Selvig was just snooping around, but you know, like I talked about Rick and earlier in the video, he writes books. He's an author, and he left a book alongside his partner Devin, who was, like I said, Mark's sister. And there was something going on with Cobell and Lumen. They were snooping around Mark's house, and they saw this, and then bringing that to the workplace and giving that to Milchick. And obviously Mark's brain is altered, so he doesn't know who Rickon is, and he doesn't know what the book is. His innie doesn't, but his outie obviously does, because that's his actual real person. He ended up snooping around. I don't know. She ends up like breaking into his house, and luckily for Petey, he ends up hiding a good enough place to not be heard from Selvig, aka Cobell. And then we learned about my boy Dylan, who's just apparently a waffle merchant, bro. Got all the waffle parties on planet Earth, bro. It's literally just him. You feel what I'm saying? Shout out to bro. Also, we're learning about Helly's Helly's innie as well, and she's maniacal. The amount of times Helly was literally about to commit and try to force herself to quit her job and do this and that, but every single time it felt like she would get denied by her outie. So I'm like, obviously her innie doesn't want to work at Lumen. Why is her outie constantly declining it? And then we end up finding out at the end why that was, but I won't jump the gun. I'll get into it. I won't jump the gun though, but I will get into it. We also end up finding an interesting character, Christopher Walken, aka Bert, and Irving, doing their thug thing. So I mean, shout out to y'all. I mean, it's Pride Month. Y'all do y'all thing. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to the LGBTQIA+ community. Not my type of thing, but for y'all, Congratulations. They end up holding the hands. I remember one of my boys, he told me, I remind him of Irving, and I'm like, shout out to bro, but Irving, that ain't me, my boy. You know what I'm saying? I know he was trolling me, but Irving, that ain't me, my boy. You know, shout out to bro. Doing this thug thizzle. That ain't me, my boy. That ain't me. Shout out to bro, though. You know, shout out to bro. Shout out to bro for sure. You know, they're their moment. You know, they work at Lumen, but they work on different floors. They work with different people. They're just a part of a different how do I explain it? A different like market, a different part of Lumen, I guess. And we also end up learning about the break room, which is like torture. It's literally just this like small floor. Feels like it's hard to walk into, and it's just like when you were in class and it was like, oh, this is the room you go to for detention. This is the room you go to for ISS. This is the room you go to learn about what you did and how to get better. And this, that, and the third. Like, just literally just like torturing the innies. And Mark is literally the definition of a drone. I mean, that guy is genuinely slow. Like, genuinely. Like, his innie. His Audi, it's not that bad, but his innie, my God. And then PD unfortunately ends up passing away after complications from the reintegration. I guess it didn't work out. He ends up bleeding, and he ends up literally having like I don't know if it was a panic attack or what it was, but he was just bleeding. Mark sees him at the gas station after seeing him on the news, after seeing somebody on the news. Ambulance, this, that, and the third, to follow the ambulance to the gas station. PD just passes out and ends up not making it. Unfortunately, it sucks because he had at least like a former partner and a daughter, which he ended up learning a little bit about as well. But yeah, RP to PD, you know, sucked. Reintegration, trying to get out of Lumen, unfortunately, just did not work. And then Heli literally tries to commit as well in the elevator. Literally has a whole rope around her, and suddenly, what was it, Mark that saved her? Somehow, somebody got all these marks around her neck, and I'm like, how the hell does she make it out? It's insane, because looking at Heli's Audi and Innie, obviously they're two different people, but they are legitimately polar opposites. Like, your Innie can literally end your life, and you obviously wouldn't know because you're severed. Your brain is altered. Your Audi would not know until you're out of the elevator, and this, that. Like, it's genuinely just absurd. It really is just absurd. Also, Rickon and Devin are such an interesting couple just because, like, Rickon is so loud and Devin seems like a pretty, like, well-mannered, not that Rickon isn't, but more well-mannered than just like an intellectual person. And then there's Rickon, who's just basically just Rickon. And then Dylan's Innie, not knowing that he has a wife with his Audi. Bro was all up on Miss Casey trying to go crazy. Like, Dylan, you are a menace to society. We're trying to finesse a hug from Miss Casey, not knowing that's one of his mans, Thug Thizzle. But I'll get into that as well. And then randomly just goats at Lumen. And I'm like, what do these goats mean? And I don't know if we know what they mean. And they end up going into it, and all these people work with goats. And I'm like, what the hell is this? And it's one of those actresses that I've seen in so many different things. So I can't quite remember her name, but she was there as well. I'm like, what is going on? But I think it's season pseudo. And then them being able to turn on Severance and turn it off whenever they want to, while at Lumen, is wild. Like, the workers like Milchick, Cobell, this, that, and the third. Basically, it's just called overtime contingency. You basically just press all these certain buttons. You look through all these stuff in like the security room or whatever the hell it is. You can turn it off. And Dylan is a W man's. Dylan, you are a W man's brother. My man Dylan was literally holding it down for everybody. He couldn't go to overtime contingency because he went into it initially because Milchick woke him up because something happened at work and he got to answer, and he ends up, that's the first time his Innie learns about his son But Milchick initially didn't even tell him that was his son, you know? So Milchick was talking to Dylan G's son in the real world. And Dylan had no idea, which is just brutal, you know, just absolutely brutal. But yeah, that's the first time overtime contingency kicks in, and they have a whole plan. Dylan's there. He's literally holding every single button, literally trying to hold the door down so nobody gets in. And somebody ends up finding out that one of the innies are actually outies. And then Dylan had a little bit of time. Ends up breaking in. Boom. Before that, a lot of things went down. We end up finding out, what was it? Devin's pregnancy and this, that, and the third. And somebody had, and then Rickon had this whole book club for his upcoming book and things like that. And then Mark's outie, obviously now in the overtime contingency, was basically, I'm trying to explain this. So it was it was his outie. I think it was his innie that was out on the outside now because they were talking about different people. But yeah, end up finding out about Miss Casey, and then they end up showing a picture of Miss Casey, aka shocker, Gemma. Yep, Gemma is Miss Casey. That is just generally absurd. And the fact that they were together on multiple cases, because she was the therapist on the severed floor, and neither of them knew that they were partners because they were both severed and on the severed floor at Lumen, which is just insane because Mark this whole time thinks that Gemma, aka Miss Casey, is his deceased wife in a car accident, and even has a box in his basement thinking that that is the corpse or ashes or whatever of Miss Casey, when they find out Gemma, aka Miss Casey, is still alive, which is absurd. Like, Lumen is the devil. Lumen, you are the devil. But also, right after that as well, Mark's Innie and Helly end up having a moment and doing their big one. I'm talking about that. Yeah. Come to find out, they went, yeah. They had their moment. Yeah. I know we kind of just jumped the gun there to season 2. My brain is fried on my fault. Am I severed? I don't know. But yeah, Mark and Helly have a moment. They kiss. Cobell, you're packed up. It's over. They end up finessing. They end up finding out that Cobell was basically the babysitter to Devin and Rickon's kid, which is Mark's sister and basically brother-in-law. Yeah. Brutal. GG's to Cobell. Dylan, you're a real one for getting them on that overtime contingency. Using Severance in the middle of a pregnancy. Devin and the other girl. Not Devin, but the other girl, you need help. Actually, merged like a politician or some shit. You need help. Helena Egan is Helly R. And she's the daughter of Lumen CEO, Jay Egan. Yeah, you need help. What the actual fuck? Insane season of the Severance, season 2. Review very, very soon. See y'all. Yeah. Other than that, yo, that is the video. Go down below. Drop a like. Comment down below. Sub up. Follow me on Twitch, Twitter, and like the video. Got the new video.